Some of you have been here a while now and might know that I'm a pretty lazy man. But how on earth can you have a healthy diet that's also easy and convenient? Well, if you live in the US, it is your lucky day because I've got the perfect solution for you. Factor offers you the chance to get fresh, ready-made meals delivered directly to your doorstep. They're never frozen, they're full of high quality ingredients and packed with nutritional value too. It even offers meals for those following different lifestyles and diets. So what are you waiting for? Go and click that lovely link at the top of the description now. You'll get plenty of money off your first order with Factor and some off the few after too. You'd be a fool to miss out on an opportunity like that. Well, 3 more huge midweek championship fixtures to come as the rearrangements continue towards the end of this season. We've got one game on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday night, and we will give you our score predictions and the reason why for all 3 of them. But firstly, a quick reminder that we'll do our recap of the weekend fixture list in the next weekend edition, purely because Luton Borough has not been played at the time of recording. And we'll have to do the same with this midweek one next midweek because there's so many games every day. Just makes it hard to squeeze all the recaps in. But for now, let's move on to the first of 3 big fixtures, and it features the champions Burnley. Away from home this time, they lost their home invincible record at the weekend, but they go to Blackburn in a Lancashire derby. A crucial game for Blackburn, who need to take this game in hand to get themselves back in that playoff place. They have come back from the international break in atrocious form. 6 games without a win in a championship, 4 draws in a row. And I mean, could the most costly part of their season be the last 2 fixtures? Because with 93 minutes played in both of them, they were 1-0 up and on course for 6 points out of 6. And at the end of the game, they have picked up 2 points out of 6 against Coventry and Preston, 2 of those sides that are rivals. If they'd won those 2 and held on, they'd be on 69 points and pretty much there if we're being honest. As it is now, they are outsiders unless they win this game. A terrible late goal to concede against Preston, an own goal from Hyam, after the Coventry keeper had scored against them in the 95th minute the midweek previous. I mean, it's just been an awful week for Blackburn, and it summed up their April in truth. For Burnley, a very poor result at home to QPR. I don't think anyone in the world saw that coming. Must have been one of the biggest coupon busters of the season. They still had 20 shots on goal. They had over 80% of the ball, and they should have won it. But QPR caught them out. You've got to say fair play to them. Takes them away from the relegation mix too. But back to Burnley, a few questions about their team selection, but it's a very strong side they put out. It was just one of those days, and if anything's going to fire them up after they've got not much to play for, surely it will be the prospect of a Lancashire derby and making their rivals miss out on a playoff place. Blackburn have played one already at the weekend. They obviously had heartbreak late on. Can Burnley do the same to them again this time? Do you know what? I'm going to say I think they can. While the last 2 games have seen a couple of uncharacteristic defensive errors from Burnley, they've still had a threat. They've still been pretty efficient for the most part, and they've still been picking up results largely. It's not been the best performances we've seen in the world, but unless Sheffield United win all 4 of their remaining games, they're going to be champions, they're going to be promoted in style, and I think they're going to win this game comfortably to do it themselves. If they win it, they're champions regardless. I think they're going to give Blackburn a hard night. And the way Blackburn are playing at the moment, you just cannot predict them to win. They so often falter at the end of championship seasons. It happens year after year after year. And with Burnley largely in good form bar that game, I'm going to go for a comfortable away win. I think Burnley are going to really put the shoe in this time, refine their form in front of goal. I'm going for 3-1 to the visitors, with Burnley to ruin Blackburn's playoff hopes. Let's move on to Wednesday night and a game that's going to be huge for 2 teams for similar reasons. Sheffield United, depending on the outcome of the Monday game, could well get themselves very close to, if not promoted with that one. They'll be hoping for a Luton draw against Middlesbrough, gives them a real opportunity with their game in hand. And against West Brom, who, well, at the time of recording, have just been stunned late on by Sunderland. The visitors there putting West Brom again in a very tricky position in the playoff race. And this game in hand, much like it is for Blackburn, a real chance for them to catch up. At half-time, it was looking great for West Brom on Sunday. It looked like they were going to get over the line. But again, lots of shots, no great chances. They just don't have the goal threat. They've obviously had the awful news with Daryl DK. They started Carlin Grant, who, let's be fair, on deadline day was all but assured of going to Swansea if it wasn't for some late paperwork stuff. And they just haven't got that attacking threat. So unless they win this game again, West Brom are going to struggle to make it into the playoffs. For Sheffield United, disappointment against City in the FA Cup semi-final, but mainly because they had a great chance in the first minute and probably should have been ahead then. But in the league, they've been very good. Lost at Burnley with that awful defensive error and the red card. But otherwise, 4 wins out of 5. West Brom had been better defensively on the road recently, particularly away at Stoke and Blackpool, but then they had that awful day at Rotherham, so again a tough side to predict. I think they'll be up for it. I think they'll play a very different style of game, a bit more cautious. We saw a game they played at home to Millwall where it was very backs to the wall, not wanting to give up too much space in behind, and it was a hallmark of Corberan's Huddersfield side last season. So I think that might be what we see in this one. Sheffield United, look, if they can avoid defeat, they're in a great position. It's a very tough game in their running, but they want to get it done as soon as possible. With the focus now firmly on the league, with all the extra games in hand, I think Sheffield United will be fine. They'll be in second place, no problem. But in this one, I think they might be frustrated a little bit. I know they're strong at Bramall Lane. West Brom, bit of a mixed bag on the road. I'm going to chuck in my Championship's favourite scoreline. Got to have one in every prediction show. 1-1 between the Blades and the Baggies. Well, we've talked about 2 games at the top. What about this one at the bottom? Rotherham United versus Cardiff City. A game that was abandoned at half-time a few weeks ago after a deluge of rain came down at Rotherham's New York Stadium. In that game, they were 1-0 down to Cardiff and being played off the park. Maybe got a bit fortunate for that game to be abandoned. Of course, though, the conditions were not playable. Since then, well, Cardiff, you have to argue, have been the better side. They've had 2 difficult results against promotion chasers in Sunderland and Sheffield United, but took their chances against Watford, including a stunning goal, and then against Stoke City, picked up a crucial point at the weekend. That one edges them on to 46 points, level with Rotherham just behind on goal difference. Cabba seems to be finding form at the right time of the season, and so did Cardiff City in fairness. It wasn't a great game by any means, and they gave up a lot of the ball. They did have the better of the chances and probably should have nicked it. For Rotherham, it's no winning 4. They did score against Bristol City, but late heartbreak in the 91st minute. Could that goal yet be crucial? Both sides only 3 points above the relegation zone. You'd have to say, if someone wins this, they're probably safe. I wonder if that will make either of them come out and play more, because you could argue a draw keeps them both safe as well. The maximum Reading can get to is 49 points. If they draw it, given their goal differences, they're probably both then safe from Blackpool and Wigan. So I don't know if maybe the 2 teams end up settling if we get to the 70 or 80 minute mark. There is that carrot of knowing that if you win, you overtake QPR and you're there. I think this is going to be a really tight game. And you know what? Given what I've seen from Rotherham defensively the last 3, including the Luton game I was at, I feel like Cardiff might nick this. They looked the better side when they played last time. Rotherham aren't in the best of form. And I know they've got that performance in them. We saw it against West Brom when they were just phenomenal. And I know Cardiff have got a beating in them at the other end when they play poorly. But generally their games have been tight. Generally Rotherham have been poor recently. I'm going for Cardiff to nick it. I've just got a feeling on it. I'm going by 2-1. But both sides will probably now be safe. So let's have a quick recap of what I've predicted for the 3 midweek rearranged fixtures in a championship. In the 2 big games at the top, I've gone for a Burnley win away at Blackburn to dampen their rivals' chances at a playoff place. Sheffield United and West Brom to cancel each other out in a cagey game by 1 goal apiece. And then at the bottom, Rotherham to be pipped to the post by Cardiff, and that will secure safety for the Bluebirds. What a job Sabri Lamucci's doing, by the way. But those are just my predictions. No home wins this midweek. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down there. Always impossible to predict at this stage of the season, so let's have a bit of fun with it. Let me know your predictions. If you beat me, you will get a mention in a recap for this episode in about a week's time. If you enjoyed this little episode, please do add a thumbs up to the video, subscribe for regular content from the podcast. We've got another big episode coming on Thursday for the penultimate weekend of Championship fixtures. And don't forget, we'll have score predictions for all of the EFL playoffs in the semi-finals and the finals, in addition to the National League, the Irish Cup final, and so much more. We might even do a recap of our pre-season predictions too. But that's all for May. For now, let us know your predictions for this midweek. I hope to see you again on Thursday for a full weekend fixture list in the Championship. We're getting very close to the finish line now. Looks like we're going to have some Luton Town Championship playoff action. Fingers crossed this time, it'll be more enjoyable than Huddersfield. I'll see you on Thursday for matchday 45.